Ladies and gents, it's Preacher, and today we're going to talk about the Frost DK Walls of Draenor. Should you pick it? Is it looking good? Is it looking bad? Is it looking ugly? As everything with these final looks at the WoD classes, please read the disclaimer below regarding things like DPS and all that kind of shit, because it is important. It is important if you actually want to get a good feel and the context of the video. So, onwards. One thing we need to discuss in this mainly is the downtime. Right now, Frost DKs are having a horrendous goddamn time. A really bad time with downtime. And it's not something DKs are, you know, immune to. It's not something they haven't seen before. It's not something we haven't experienced. But it is worse right now in WoD than it has ever been. But we need to discuss why, and a very simple solutions that might actually fix it, I think, is worth suggesting here. Although Blizzard has confirmed no major gameplay changes are coming to each of the classes. My god, it's horrible. It is horrible. Which is in stark contrast to our quick look that we did on the Frost DK when Beta, or Alpha, I believe it was, first started, where the Frost DK actually had no downtime whatsoever. We'll also be combining the dual wield and two-handed aspects into this, because they both play into the kind of ideas we're going to be discussing. So, two-handed first. Blizzard's made a pretty conscious effort to appease the audience of the DK. And that is that over the past couple of years, certainly since Cataclysm, about mid-Cataclysm, and many of you will know I'm a very seasoned Frost Death Knight. I got my world first on a Frost DK. I was playing it for a very long time. I know what the fuck's going on with it. And it was around that time that words like Master Frost started to pop up, and more recently, Master Simple, or Master Derp, as I prefer to call it. And frankly, there were always things that I really didn't like, because they were gimmicky. But the community in general for DKs, I've found, really likes gimmicks. Really likes to see if there's something they can do which tweaks damage, which is kind of outside the intended way the class is supposed to be played. So we had things like Master Frost, and of course Fester Blight on the Unholy side, which was looking at ways of abusing mechanics a little bit to make our DPS competitive, because it kind of wasn't if you played it straight up. And that's kind of the byproduct that came from this, is community looking for little gimmicks to do that. Blizzard's actually tried to appease that more in WoD than ever before by making it clear, absolutely clear, with the extra bonuses that if you're wielding a two-hander, your obliterates hurt, and not only do they hurt the target, they hurt the target's parents, they hurt the target's dog, and the kids, and the cousins, and everything. Obliterate fucking really hurts if you've got a two-hander in your hands, right? That's all I want to say. If you've got that big 2H, you're going to crush some fucking skulls. But if you're rocking a couple of one-handers, they have clearly made it so that your Frost Strike does far more damage, right? Your Frost Strike does far more damage, and they want to make that really clear that if you're doing that, you're going for a more Howling Blast orientated spec, which does more damage with dual wield, and that your Frost Strike is the big priority for Killing Machine. And Killing Machine is one of the crux of the problems here. If you've got Killing Machine and you're wielding a two-hander, you really now, especially in WoD, more than ever, want to make sure they're going on obliterates. If you're dual wielding, you want more than ever to make sure those Killing Machines go on Frost Strikes. When I did the advanced guides around 4.5, I believe, something like that, 4.3, I pointed out that really, because of Killing Machine munching, it wasn't worth really trying out with it, okay? When I got those world first, it was not because I was doing, like, super serious careface at where my Killing Machine was going. And the reason for that is Killing Machine munching. Okay, and the fact that, more importantly, it was to spend your runes inside your major cooldown, which is Pillar of Frost. If you had resources to use there, and you weren't like popping cooldowns and watching trinket procs, and you were suffering from the original DK downtime, which was just having nothing to press, yeah, then that was far worse than, obviously, Killing Machine munching and just sitting there. Killing Machine munching is remaining for WoD. What is Killing Machine munching? What is it? What is it? Well, Killing Machine comes from auto attacks, and that guarantees that your Frost Strike or Obliterate will crit. The problem is it can proc as you've pressed the button. So you can press Frost Strike with no Killing Machine, and you'll suddenly see the graphic kind of appear and then disappear, and that's it. Your Killing Machine is gone. You had no possible fucking way in the world to prevent that happening. There is nothing you can do. Because it's happened. We got to the stage where you had to press something. You had to. And you pressed the button that wasn't what you wanted to waste on a Killing Machine. So let's say you were dual wielding. You don't want to use your Killing Machines on Obliterate. So you sat there and it's like, God, I've got to use these runes. And I have no Killing Machine. I'll go ahead and use an Obliterate. And then suddenly a Killing Machine pops up and it's gone. Yeah, that's Killing Machine munching. There's nothing you can possibly do about it. That is remaining for Walls of Draenor. And that is the big, big problem. I said downtime earlier. Downtime, in classic sense of World of Warcraft, means you can't press anything. Everything's on cooldown. Big problem that Warriors had earlier in the beta and other classes is that you would just sit there and it's like, I have no resources left. In a DK's perspective, classically that means I have no runes and I have no runic power. And I'm just sat here like a fucking lemon, waiting for things to come back. Boring. It's so much worse in Warlords of Draenor. So much worse because you now enforce upon yourself more downtime than is absolutely necessary. And by that I mean you actually sit with resources but unable to press anything. And that is horrific. Absolutely horrific, and this is mainly down to Killing Machine. Frost Strike does so much more damage for dual wield than Obliterate, it's ridiculous. Vice versa, Obliterate does so much more damage for two-hander than Frost Strike that it's ridiculous. So you really need to be focusing on these Killing Machine procs. As I've just mentioned, Killing Machine munching is still a thing. So what you'll notice in the background is not only do I have downtime, which naturally occurs with a Frost DK, tends to disappear with gear. And I will say this. The downtime, if you're spammy with your Frost DK, if you're aiming for like 80 to 90% of the potential damage your class can put out, is still about the same as it always has been with the Frost DK at the first tier of raiding, right? Let's make that abundantly clear. That downtime still remains, and it has remained ever since the Frost DK came into existence. It always has been. It always starts the first tier of raiding feeling particularly slow because your secondary stats are quite weak compared to where they will be further down the line. Even in Firelands gear, I remember being heroic Firelands geared, stat downtime still existed, but you could manage it. You could manage it to avoid it and use your resources, so that was okay. In WoD, it's more a case of, let's say I'm dual wield. My biggest nightmare when I'm playing dual wield at the moment in Warlords of Draenor is that I have runes. It's awful to have runes. It actually feels painful to me to have runes because that means I have to press the obliterate button. I have to press it at some point, and that's going to, I know it's going to crunch my Killing Machine, and I've been sat there with like 60 or 70 runic power waiting for Killing Machine to proc from my auto attacks. And this is what's going on all the time, is you're getting rid of your runes as fast as possible, praying and hoping that Killing Machine does not occur during that time. Using your Rhyme procs, getting rid of your Howling Blasts, all that kind of shit. And then you're sat there with this pool of runic power and you're just going, please proc. Please proc. You have a window where your runes are regenerating and you're like, oh my god, please proc, please proc, please proc, please proc. And you're sat there and you're in this downtime period, but your finger's on the fucking button. It's on the nuclear launch. And then suddenly it's like, I have to press something. My runes have recharged. I'll press the obliterate because I still haven't had that Killing Machine. Oh, look, Killing Machine. And then you've been waiting 6 or 7 seconds for this to occur. And this is happening pretty much every cycle. Yeah? This is happening pretty much every single cycle. And it's the same for two-hander. You're sat there and you're like, please don't proc when I press this Frost Strike. Please don't proc. Please don't. Oh, fuck it, proc. God fucking damn it. I've been sat here waiting for this not to happen and it went ahead and happened. Oh my god. A solution to this, I feel, is not something that's really been suggested. I've read through a lot of the threads. It's like a 240-page thread on MMO Champion about the DK stuff, and there's a lot of complaints, a lot of whining from the guys who understand this is how the class needs to be played now, and they're not happy. Understandably, I can see where they're coming from. I can see where they're coming from. If you really want to push your DPS, you have to play this way, and it's not nice. It's not nice at all. I looked at the further concerns, which we'll talk about shortly, which is in reference to Master Simple, or what a horrible name. But one simple thing I think could be done here, realistically, is to swap what procs Killing Machine and Rhyme. Surely we can consider this now. And what I mean by that is make it as simple as this. If you're wielding a two-hander, yeah, which means you focus on obliterates, your obliterates can proc Rhyme, and when you have a two-hander equipped, your Frost Strike can proc obliterate, can Killing Machine. So that means that when I Frost Strike, that means I have a chance to proc a Killing Machine for my next obliterate. And that can then proc a Rhyme, and that has a chance, not all the time, but there's a rhythm going on there. There's this flow that's happening, and I can like, oh, I've got fucking Pillar of Frost coming up, I could do with getting some Killing Machines ready, so I'm going to pool some runic power in order to try and proc some Killing Machines during that period of time, and I'm not going to waste things. I'm not going to have these horrible moments. I think that would be really nice. Vice versa, if you have 2 weapons equipped, if you Frost Strike, that has a chance to proc Rhyme if you're dual wielding. Yeah, if you obliterate, that has a chance to proc Killing Machine. And it swaps what can proc what. Obviously, I believe the reason that's not put in is because of some probably weapon swap macros or some craziness like that. But the likelihood is, unless you're geared to the fucking teeth, is that your two-hander, which you might be rocking for... which you might be rocking at the time, is probably more powerful than the one-handers you have. Because, as always, you should realistically, if the specs are balanced, which we hope they will be, is that you use whatever the best weapon you have at the time. Simple as that. And therefore, this wouldn't be a bad system. Hopefully. Maybe. It's just an idea that would make more sense to me than what we currently have, where auto attacks are having this random chance. And that is what's screwing up Frost DKs for me right now, is that I'm relying on auto attacks to actually do work for me. And auto attacks are just notoriously bad for doing that. Let's talk about this Master Simple idea. There's a big sort of debate. What is Master Simple? That is Master Simple is based on the idea that it seems with the way stats currently work, and this is all subject to change, which is why I'm leaving this till the end of the video, is that very, very quickly, dual wield Frost DKs will have to drop Obliterate entirely. And the confusion here is people are like, oh god, that would be horrible. That's just spamming Howling Blast and Frostdrake and just dumping Unholy Rune whenever possible, right? And we're just spamming Howling Blast because that's going to do far more damage due to the way the stats work if you're dual wielding. The interesting thing to me about this is a lot of Frost DKs have been working towards trying to make that happen for a really long fucking time. A really long time. Like, crazy amounts of time they've been wanting that to happen, and now some DKs are like, whoa, 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 we don't actually want that. Yes, some people wanted that, but it's going to suck, because we only actually have 4 buttons to press as it is as a Frost DK. We certainly don't need to go down to, like, 3. That fucking sucks balls. But so, I mean, it's a relatively new term that's been coined, but people seem to believe that the way it is right now, and again, it is subject to change, is that could happen very, very quickly in Warlords of Draenor. So I'm making you aware of it if you're considering playing a DK, that the likelihood is that Blizzard, and I think, and I truly believe this, that Blizzard has done this on purpose. They've seen people trying to make this happen for so long that they're like, okay, cool, we'll make that happen for you. So if you do dual wield, you don't use Obliterate. If you dual wield, you play the classic Frost DK style. But if you're dual wielding, by proxy, you will never use Obliterate. You will just spam Howling Blast till the end of days and have a happy, 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 happy honeymoon, right? And that's about it. So bear that in mind as a possibility, guys, that that's how the class turns out. It's not how it's playing right now, but it seems that very, very quickly it would turn into that if things remain pretty similar to how they are now. That's the Frost DK, guys. That's why it's playing as it is. Bear this in mind. If you want to do well, as in be one of the good Frost DKs, one of the notable Frost DKs, be somebody who people go, how did you do that? That's how the class is playing right now. Big gameplay changes are unlikely to happen. If you're somebody who is looking to do sort of 80 to 90% of the potential damage, have some fun, see some big fuck off crits, and generally just go Howling Blast like most people like to play a Frost DK, you're probably going to be fine, because this kind of waiting around and managing these resources won't appeal to you anyway, okay? So something to bear in mind there. But for most of you guys, which is why you come to me, who are looking to be really, really fucking good at your class, yeah, guys, that is how it's playing right now. Big changes since the alpha. I hope that's helped you out with the ideas on the Frost DK. See you later. Bye-bye.